Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Rachel Hoffman. We are here at Turn of the Century Antiques Doll Shop, which is home of the Virtual Doll Convention. And we have had a wild ride. Boy, have we had a wild ride, no pun intended, with the release of our new Inset Eye, Elowen, and Nima dolls. And of course, our adorable Gwen and Z grandmother dolls, which are so sweet and cute. But let's talk about dolls that are not so sweet. So this has been fun because when we did our first reveal video, when we saw those dolls for the first time, my expression, because a lot of times I'll jump out of my seat or I'll jump for joy or I'll do whatever, I looked at my expression and I was like, because I was thinking about what you were going to think. That's what I was worried about. I knew what I thought, but then when I unbox something, my first thought is, what are my customers going to think? What is the doll community going to think about this? And these dolls had such a different look. They were so fierce. They were so different that I immediately went to OMG in my brain. You know that meme that's like the math equation that goes like 600 ways? That's what my brain was doing. But over the weekend, so that video went up about a week ago at this point when this is filming, you loved her. You thought she was so cool, both dolls, the Elowen and the Nima. But I want to open them again, and we are going to have a candid conversation between the two of us, and I'm going to show fresh ones again to you because our edited photos, they look stunning. Christopher did an amazing job photographing them. Dee did an incredible job editing the photos, but they are edited. They have a little bit of lighting. They have a little bit of change. All doll pictures that you see on the internet are all beautiful studio photos that are then edited after. It's like when you go and you get your family pictures taken. Do you look like that every single day? No, you don't look like that every single day. You're edited a little bit. Now, we don't edit much. We try to get them, we make a point. We try to make the doll that comes out that you receive to look exactly like the doll that is in the picture. But again, it's not like fresh out of the box. They're styled a little bit. So we're going to open them, some fresh ones, and talk about them again. And I think that this is important because I want you to see that. I want you to really see them really good. And then you can make an informed decision. But the wonderful thing and the surprising thing that I found out from these is that you didn't want a soft, happy Elowen this time. I think you were ready for a little bit of something different. You were ready for a little bit of a change. And a lot of people interpreted her as a more grown-up version, a girl that knows what she wants, a girl that is ready to make her decision. In fact, she has already made the decision and she is on her way into the courtroom. She is a businesswoman in a lot of your eyes. She is somebody that's going out to protest. She is somebody that's holding up a sign. She knows what she wants. And a lot of that has to do with the way that the inset eyes are, of course, but also the very fierce eyebrows, which I appreciate very much because I have pretty fierce eyebrows that I like a lot. And it does change the look. So we're opening her again. Now, she is what I would consider a beautiful doll in the way that she is molded and the way that she looks. And I just love her hair. But let's get in and see. Christopher is filming. Christopher, how does that look? Can we see her pretty darn well? The focus is good. So as we chat about her, we're gonna put a couple of photos on the screen too, just so it's not completely a talking head video. But these dolls are very limited. Now we do have more coming. Somebody had said, why do you limit them? Why don't we just, well, sometimes when we have a limited edition and they don't sell out or we only sell half of them or something, that's not good either. So when they do sell out, I feel bad that some people are disappointed. I always feel terrible about that, honestly. I wish I could just magically go in my kitchen and make some more and make everybody happy. But it's a tightrope when you're what we are considered. We do a lot of business. We do a lot of movement. We have a lot of wonderful customers, but we are a very small business. And so having a couple of releases, 2 or 3 or 4 in a row that don't do well, makes a big impact on a small business. So we don't. One of the things that I have done as a business owner, and one of the secrets to our success, Christopher and I were actually just talking about it this morning, is I don't overextend us as a business. I don't overextend our buying. In fact, I have before. I've bought too much of things and then I learned my lesson. But we have a very small team here that does a lot. So like Christopher and I were talking about this morning, we don't have a separate department for photography. We don't have a separate department for styling, for hair, for customer service, for HR. If we were going to have separate departments for everything that we did, we would at least have a team of 10 here. But that's not sustainable for us. So we have a small team that we do it. And with the dolls, we usually do edition runs of about 200, and that's what they are. They're 195 actually, because Robert has some for him. He keeps some as well for his archive. But she looks fantastic. She looks so good. Now that the initial shock has worn off, I would like to know what you think. Has the initial shock worn off? I know a lot of you in the very beginning, it took a minute. For me, it took several hours because I am not used to inset eye dolls. This is new for us. Now, we've had some vintage ones in the past that have come in. This is our first time selling ones. It is a big change for us. And what I love about them, and especially these ones, is I think we're all ready for a little bit of a change. And by a little bit of a change, we're ready to do some different kind of storytelling. Not every single doll has to be happy. Not every single doll. And that, for me, is a really fun way that we can start moving into 2025 and be telling our stories. A lot of dolls are a lot of time are a reflection of ourselves. Now, when we say a reflection of ourselves, that doesn't mean that your doll looks and dresses like you do. Sometimes it's the exact opposite, or sometimes it's a style that you like, but you don't dress in the way that you want. But it's a reflection of your values, your hopes, your dreams, your fashion, your fun, all the things that you love in life. We are going to be selling these ones, by the way. They're just getting opened right here. I noticed that the eyelashes are a little bit shorter on the Nima doll, but oh my goodness, she is so pretty. And when you open them, I think out of box, actually, they look pretty darn good. But the eyes on these dolls adds a tremendous amount of emotional depth. And that emotional depth in your storytelling with what you plan to do and how you plan to dress the dolls, how the dolls are going to help you navigate through the world. These really are a game changer for us. And that's why I'm so excited to have this first run and why we are going to have more. But I took a couple of notes because I've been thinking about it over the last couple of days. I just wanted to share some reasons why I think these are very poignant and special, especially right now. And so when I talk about the emotion and the depth, it adds for these dolls and for the way that you might want to present them, there's a lot of layers here. There's a lot of layers here because, like I said, to some of us, we might interpret them. I would love to know actually in the comments how you interpret them. Do they feel fierce? Do they feel like runway models that are striking a pose? Do they feel like they're pissed off and they're ready to take charge? One of the songs that has been running through my head so much since these dolls came in is Not Ready to Make Nice by the Dixie Chicks. And it goes, I'm not ready to make nice. I'm not ready to back down. I'm still mad as hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. Hello? This is that to me. This is that. It's too late to make it right. I wouldn't even if I could because I'm mad as hell and I don't have time to do what it is you think I should. And that song is such an iconic song from the Dixie Chicks. I was listening to it this morning. It came out about 15 years ago, but it is a ballad. And I think that Robert didn't give us any backstory for these dolls. And the poems are actually very sweet. It talks about the sunlight and the squirrels and all that stuff. So, you know, his intention may or may not have been what it feels like. But for me, for my Elowen, for this doll, for me, she's not ready to make nice. And I love that for her. I love that for her. Because for me, especially as a female in this world and as a female entrepreneur and a business owner, I have had to have this expression many times. I have had to walk into rooms. I have many times had men open the door and see that I was a female back when I used to do appraising, and they would be taken aback that I was a female in that position. And times like that, I had to just stay really strong, very cool, very calm. We always stay very calm, but we stay strong and we stay true to our convictions. And having a doll that represents that by our side, I think makes life a little bit more easier to navigate through. So I wrote down about her emotion and that she's layered, and I wrote that the intensity of her face brings a whole new energy to the shelf or to the display. And so if all of your dolls, especially if you have purchased all of your dolls from Virtual Doll Convention, most of them look pretty darn happy. Now, of course, when we say happy, they're not, it's still Elowen. So she still has ennui, she's still contemplative, she's still wondering, she's still listless at times, she still doesn't know. And the sculpt herself is not smiling. That's why we are so thrilled to have the grandmothers who are literally smiling in their sculpt that we get to release at the same time. It's like yin and yang. We get both. We get the best of both worlds here. But a doll like this will add a lot of depth to your conversation, to your collections. And speaking of conversations, I feel like that these are fantastic conversation starters, because if you have a doll like this on your table or in your living room or somewhere, and you have somebody that doesn't know about dolls or has only seen antique dolls, and you have this doll, you can come up with such a wonderful backstory for her and have such a good conversation just about her. You can teach somebody about inset eyes. You can look into her eyes and literally see all the stories that she is talking about. So speaking of stories, I wanted to share with you something that is really exciting, and it is coming up for season 3 of the Elowen subscription. Elowen is doing a lot of things. We are going to see and hear about a lot of pieces and parts of her home and rooms, and it is going to be narrated by a certain character from her series that is going to be narrating this series. So it's actually an animal. And we're not going to say who it is, but if you know a lot about Elowen, then you can probably guess. But this animal is going to be narrating what's going on for season 3. We're going to talk about it a lot more. But one of the places that Elowen goes within her home is her reflecting pool. And she does a lot of reflecting there. And this, to me, looks like a doll that is very deep in thought. Very deep in thought. If I was gonna sit there, because sometimes I do that, like I'll be sitting there and I'll be thinking about everything that I have to do, everything that's coming. Sometimes I'll just sit there and be straight up having an existential crisis, and I'll be sitting there right in my kitchen doing it, and I'll be sitting there kind of like and I'll be in my own like reflective mode, and Derek will come in and be like, oh my, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I'm just like, oh, I'm just thinking. But he'll think that something's wrong. So sometimes we deep think, am I right? Sometimes we always do that. So I think, another note that I put, because I wrote some notes because I was in the shower just really in deep thought about these dolls, both of these dolls, which I think are so wonderful. But I put that Elowen is a symbol of strength, Nima too. She could be interpreted as ready to protest or defend something important. I love thinking of dolls as not just pretty faces, but as symbols of strength, conviction, and fierce independence. I see a lot of myself in these dolls too. I have always been a very strong, fiercely independent woman, girl, child, my whole life. I always stood up for what I thought I should do. I've always been a very hard worker. I've always been somebody that comes to the table. I care about people that are not like me and that don't look like me and that are not in the same realm as me or in the same world. I care about that. And that strength is what a lot of us have. A lot of us in the doll community. And that's why the doll community is just so cool, is because we care about other people, and these dolls look like they are ready to go in and, excuse my French, but be kicking ass and taking names. And that kind of strength is something that I really admire. So, but on a lighter level, they have a lot of versatility just in their styling. So if you want to do some storytelling and you have the one that's coming in to tell you what for, and then you can have the other one that's smiling, maybe there's a heated conversation going on between the two of them. And you know, this journey with these dolls and these inset eye dolls, and the journey that we are going to be taking with them and with the Virtual Doll Convention over the next several years, that really is yours. We give you the tools, we give you a lot of the fashion, we give you maybe a sounding board and something to jump off on with the clothing and what you receive in the box, and maybe a little bit of the storylines, of course, that come a lot from Robert Tonner. But all of that is yours, and that's where you want to go with your story and with your collection and your storytelling and your how you want to present these dolls to the world. So I am very excited that we get to add a little bit more depth, like I said, and layers. And as these do well, which I really hope that they do, but as they do well, when something does really well, that means we can do more. That means we can expand on it. That means maybe the next collection can have a higher edition number. That means we can have more releases than once every 6 months or once every 8 months. It means that we can tell Robert's Factory, hey, we can have a higher edition number. And also when we have a higher edition number, that helps us move the price a little bit too. So there's a lot of reasons why these dolls are important and why I am very excited to see how they are going to do. So I have talked at you a lot, and that's from my personal perspective, the business perspective, all of that stuff. But we also have another perspective here, and it is a very fun, fashion-forward perspective, and that is with our in-house doll beauty department stylist, Christopher Johnson. I've actually had people check in with me and say, how are you doing since that release? Because people have been talking about them on the internet so much, and I will tell you something. I am doing freaking fantastic. Because if we can release something, if Robert can put something out that gets this much engagement and this many comments, and people, whatever their opinion is, whether you like it or you hate it, if you're talking about it, that's engagement. We like that, but I actually haven't had anybody say they didn't like them. We had people say they were shocked by them, they were taken aback by them, they grew on them, and then a lot of people said they loved them. But even if you do hate them, I don't care. That's fine. You can. That's the thing, is we know when we put something out, not everybody is going to like it. I don't like, there's so many dolls that get put out that I think, oh, you know, that's interesting. I really appreciate that for the doll itself, but do I like that? Would I add that to my collection? No. And that's what this whole hobby is about. So we know that not everybody's going to love everything, but when we put out a video and it is our top performing video for the weekend and it gets 107 comments in the first 24 hours because you're talking about these dolls, I'm doing great. So thank you so much for asking. But let's go check out what Christopher has to think about these dolls, and we'll get his perspective. And then these dolls are going to be for sale on April 5th at 10 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time in the Owen Wild Boutique on the Virtual Doll Convention website. They are limited to 1 per person. You can have 1 of each kind, but 1 per person. Don't buy 2, don't buy 3, don't buy 4. If you do, we will have to refund that. So just don't do that. And if they sell out, I'm very sorry. I know everybody wants one, but we will be getting our second order from them soon, especially if they do well. Like as soon as they do well, I call Robert on the phone and he will literally talk to his factory like that night. So that's a good thing. So thank you for helping us along.